Hello and welcome, it's Matt Finnegan here and you're watching another Soccer Insight betting preview, and we're looking at the lunchtime game on Sunday between Stoke and Norwich. Not probably the most inspiring fixture of the weekend, but it's one that I think that will offer a number of options to you as a punter. And talking of options, I just want to quickly mention my Insiders Club at Soccer Insight. You can get all the details at betting-insight.com. Click on the soccer section and you will see all about the Insiders Club. Well, it's made a fantastic start to the season. We started in September. We let the season get a couple of weeks into and the momentum going, and £150 up so far in September. 15% return on investment on all account bets, both pre-game and in play. Now, I was charging £120, which included the whole of the season and the World Cup next year. It's just a £20 pay as you go option. So if you do fancy betting alongside me on a regular basis at the account bets, both pre-game and during the game, then head over to betting-insight.com and click on the soccer section. Let's have a look at this game in detail. Stoke, well, we rate them on our index price at 2.2, Norwich 3.85, and the draw 3.5, 5-2 in old money. Going into the game, Norwich really were disappointing last week, not really showing any kind of sort of form, and Stoke, I think they huffed and puffed a little bit at Stoke. Wasn't too bad, but I think Arsenal were very impressive last week. But prior to that, Stoke, a couple of good wins and a draw, and I think that maybe sort of have a reflection in the prices that you will get this weekend. But let's have a quick look at the head-to-head over the last two seasons. Well, Stoke have recorded 2 victories against the Canaries, and I think there may be some market confidence against Stoke. Let's have a look at the betting exchange prices. This was taken on Thursday, and you will see that Stoke are just slightly over even money, so no value against our ratings, and that's going to make it difficult if you do fancy a home victory. I'll cover your options in a moment. Norwich, they're great value, so if you do fancy them to win, you're going to have good options. You can just take it on the exchanges. 4.5, it's miles bigger than our 385 rating. The draw, that's pretty much on par. You can get that 5-2 if you think the game's going to be a draw. So what are our options then if you fancy Stoke to get a win or a result? Well, basically there's no value and you need to seek other opportunities, and it's going to be sort of difficult because they are around even money. We rate them at 6-5, 2.2. One of those options is, and because of the Stoke and the makeup of the Stoke, is to consider backing Stoke raised to 2 goals. You're going to get 6-4. That's the price that I was seeing when recording this on Thursday. 2.5. That really does ramp that up from that evens to 2.5. That's an option, and that's based on that the bookmakers don't rate them Stoke scoring 2 goals. Norwich are not watertight. They will offer a lot of chances. You've seen that with the Villa game last week. It was a game that neither team really could sort of take the chances, so that could come into your thought process. Another option with Stoke, price ramping, is dutching 1 or 2 goals. That should pay around 11-8, 2.38 in the decimal at best prices. Now you could be one of those games where Stoke go and score multitude of goals, but I think it's highly unlikely that they'll win by 3 goals if they go on to win the game. So either one works for me if you feel that Stoke will win the game. There's no value in the match odds, and you're going to have to be a little bit creative if you fancy them to sort of win the game. Now on the flip side, if you fancy Norwich to get a result, then laying Stoke around even money, you're getting great value for that. So it's even money Stoke not to win the game, and it certainly wouldn't put you off if you fancy Norwich to get something out of that game. It's not a bad price. You're getting a very, very good price. It should be more round about 183. That's what you should be getting for Norwich not to lose the game there, or Stoke not to win the game. So that's what you should be getting at around 7-2, 4.5 on Betfair. We've already established Norwich a good value, so if you think they're going to take all 3 points, then certainly get it involved in that. And price ramping, one of the options I think Stoke will score is backing Norwich to win, not to nil, and you should get 9-2, 5.5 with that sort of, so that's a good price as well. But let's have a look at some of the winning margins if you want to play in those. And as you can see, Dutch in Norwich to win by 1 or 2 goals is 4.05, so you're actually getting better value just backing them to win the game. So it sort of eliminates that through. That's, on the flip side of things, Dutch in 1, 2 goals can be a good thing in certain markets. It's always good to have a good sort of price check with that, but in other matches or other markets, it could be not the option to sort of take, and it's always worth going through that exercise. 5.75 for Norwich to win by a single goal. That could enter your thought process as well. Would Stoke lose by 2 goals at home? You may argue highly unlikely. So if that's your choice and you think they'll do well, and you may also look at Stoke just a 1 goal winning margin, that really ramps it up. It ramps it up to over 5.2 at 3.7 at best prices. That gives you that sort of option as well. Can't see the team winning by 2 to 3 goal margin. I think that's asking a little bit too much. I think this could be a tight game. A little bit, really, my thought process is it's very, very similar to the Spurs Chelsea game, and goals will be a premium, and this has been reflected in the unders and overs, the bookmakers odds, and it comes to no surprise to me that over 2.5 goals is good value in this market at 5 to 4, 2.25. We just have it a slight over even money at 2.06 on our index prices. So again, I've said it in many of the previews this weekend, if you do fancy overs, then certainly wait a few minutes. It's on TV, get a feel for the game before playing your hand. There's no value in unders this week, so if you fancy goals to be at a premium, you're gonna have to seek other options. It's no options in the unders and overs, in our opinion, worked against our tissue prices. You're going to have to look at different options. Maybe goal coming after 27 minutes, high scoring half, second half, those kind of things. Look at that, or even sort of total goals, maybe sitting in the 2 or 3 goals bracket. So you're going to have to look for other options in the unders and overs. And finally, let's have a look at our in-play stats here. Matches 0-0 at 25 minutes. There's a 50% chance of a goal being scored at half time between these two teams with this kind of sort of profile. So that's roughly going to be on the money. I would expect the price to be around about even money. It might be, if it's really, really tight, it might mean that the 0-0 has gone odds on, and that means if you're laying that or backing 0.05 goals in the half-time markets, that you're going to get odds against, so you're going to get a little bit of value possibly in this game. Also, it's a 74% chance of the goal being scored between 25 and 70 minutes. If that happens, it's a 4 games in 5, an 80% chance that another one will be scored as well. So that covers all games over the last sort of 5 seasons involving these teams in this type of profile. And finally, it's a 52.5% chance of the last goal of the match coming after 65 minutes, 1.9 or above. So it's one of the thing that Stoke traditionally can keep it sort of tight, certainly if they lead 1.9 above. You're not going to get that price. So basically the margin there, or the value is actually when it gets to 65 minutes, back in, if it's 1-0, back in under 1.5 goals, that there's going to be no further goals in the game. That's where you're going to get the real sort of value with that. And the beauty of it is, if your thought processes change, as the game draws towards close, you can always close your position and you leave yourself with a bit of trading profit in between. That's it from me. That's the Stoke versus Norwich game. I hope you found this preview useful. Check out all our betting previews on our YouTube channel, and do subscribe to that channel so you can get not only the football but all the sports that we cover. My name's Matt Finnegan. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Bye for now.